So at this point, we have gotten a pretty good understanding of what's going on, just kind of as a general idea. Let's get some actual measurements. I want to get some actual values from this study. And for this, I'm going to go ahead and show these components again. Right? And I'll just go ahead and hide this cover. And let's just switch over to wireframe. So this is going to give us a little bit better understanding, or at least context, for some of these values that we're doing. So I want to know, for example, I want to know what the maximum temperature is in an individual component, right? This one here. I added, a bunch of other ones in along with it. I want to know what is the maximum temperature of that volume of solid. And for that, I'll say, grab the part with a volume parameter, temperature of the solid, and I'll hit show. And it immediately gives me the information that I'm looking for that. You have the local and integral parameters. Integral would be things like mass flow rate. Local is just individual values, and you see the minimum and the average and the maximum and the bulk average, which is kind of interesting. So if I wanted to, instead of understanding that, maybe I want to understand the fluid coming through one of these lids, right? I want to know how hot some of these hot ones get. Or maybe, here's another one. I want to know just exactly how much total airflow we have coming in, right? How much air is being exchanged here approximately. So I'm going to do a surface parameter to measure the inlets on these bottom 4 on each side, because the bottom 4 were the ones that all the air was coming in from, right? Seemed to kind of come in 4 and go out the top 3. And for this, I want to know the temperature of the fluid. But I also want to know the mass flow rate. I think there's a volume flow rate down here too. So I'll click show, and that's going to give me flow rates, right? Mass and volume flow rates, that's looking good. But then it also gives me the temperature. The temperature in this case, the maximum temperature is 380. The minimum is 290. That's a massive swing. There's a lot of temperature difference there. But the average is 300, so it's clearly closer to the minimum. And the bulk average is even lower than that. And what that means is if you measure across the surface, the average across the surface is 300. But the average temperature of the air, if you talk about the volume that goes through it, right, it's much more movement in the cold air. The hot air is not moving as much, and so the bulk average temperature is 296, which is just barely above ambient, which really supports the idea that those are all inlets for the purposes of this study. All right, so goals aren't the only way that you can get distinct measured values. You can come in here and create these volume parameters as wanted.